Before sunrise, a Venezuelan diesel-electric submarine descends beneath the surface of the Caribbean Sea. Its engines slow to a near crawl, batteries take over, and the boat slips into near total silence. The crew knows this phase well. Stealth is their greatest weapon. At low speed, their submarine becomes one of the quietest objects in the ocean. The mission is not an attack, not yet. The objective is proximity, approaching the operational waters of a U.S. aircraft carrier to test how close a regional navy can get without being noticed. On navigation charts, the area looks ordinary. No visible borders, no warning signs, but carrier waters are not defined by lines on a map. They are defined by attention. Long before a submarine reaches visual range of a carrier, it enters a space where sound, movement, and even water pressure are constantly observed. As the Venezuelan submarine moves forward, it unknowingly crosses an invisible threshold, one where silence no longer guarantees safety. From the submarine's perspective, the sea appears calm and unoccupied. No propeller noise, no active sonar pings, no immediate sign of danger. But this calm is deceptive. A U.S. aircraft carrier never sails alone. It is the center of a carrier strike group, an integrated system designed to dominate air, surface, and subsurface domains simultaneously. Dozens of sensors extend far beyond the carrier itself. Destroyers and cruisers patrol wide arcs. Underwater listening systems quietly analyze the acoustic environment. Every anomaly is logged, compared, and re-evaluated. The Venezuelan submarine has not been spotted, but the environment around it is being measured continuously. At this stage, the U.S. Navy does not react. There is no alarm, no course change, no visible response. Instead, data begins to accumulate, a faint irregularity, a pattern that does not belong. Somewhere deep below, the submarine believes it is alone. Above it, an invisible process has already begun. Hours pass. The submarine maintains a steady depth and speed, carefully avoiding any maneuver that might generate excess noise. Inside the control room, sonar operators listen to a sea filled with natural sounds. Currents, marine life, distant shipping, everything seems normal. Elsewhere, aboard a U.S. escort ship, passive sonar systems register a subtle deviation. Not a clear contact, not a confirmed submarine, just something that does not quite match the background. The signal is weak, intermittent, and easy to dismiss, but it is logged rather than ignored. Carrier strike groups are trained to think in probabilities, not certainties. One signal means nothing. Repeated signals, however, suggest intent. As minutes turn into hours, the anomaly reappears, still faint, still distant, but consistent enough to justify quiet attention. No weapons are armed, no aircraft are launched. Instead, tracking begins in the most patient way possible, by listening, and as the Venezuelan submarine continues forward, it leaves behind a trail of information without ever realizing it. Once a potential subsurface presence is suspected, the objective is not confrontation, but clarity. A nearby U.S. destroyer subtly adjusts its course, placing itself in a more favorable listening position. The movement is slight, unnoticeable to anyone not looking for it. Above the waves, a helicopter prepares for launch. There is no urgency on deck, no visible tension. Anti-submarine warfare is slow by design. Rushing only creates noise and mistakes. When the helicopter lifts off, it carries no aggressive posture, only sensors. Sonobuoys enter the water miles away from the submarine's position. They do not announce themselves. They simply listen. One buoy hears nothing. Another hears something questionable. Data flows quietly back into the strike group's network. The Venezuelan submarine is still moving freely, but the space around it is shrinking. The hunt has begun, not with explosions, but with patience. Inside the submarine, the crew senses a change, not externally, but internally. Remaining perfectly still for extended periods is impossible. Batteries drain. Depth adjustments become necessary. A slight course correction is ordered to compensate for underwater currents. That moment matters. The adjustment produces a subtle acoustic signature. barely noticeable, but distinct enough to separate it from the ocean's background. Multiple sensors now detect the same irregularity from different angles. What was once a possibility becomes a likely contact. The submarine has not made a mistake in the traditional sense. It has simply existed long enough in the wrong place. In modern naval warfare, persistence itself can become exposure. Above, the U.S. Navy still does not reveal its hand. The goal remains control, not escalation. But for the first time, the submarine's position is no longer theoretical. With confirmation growing, the strike group transitions from detection to containment. Helicopters rotate through the area, extending sensor coverage without concentrating attention in one place. Surface ships maintain distance, letting technology do the work. Data from sonar buoys, ship sensors, and airborne platforms merges into a single operational picture. The submarine's movements are now predictable. Each course change narrows its options. Each minute reduces uncertainty. From the submarine's perspective, nothing dramatic happens. No warning, no threat. Yet every possible escape route is quietly mapped. This is the advantage of layered defense, not speed, but inevitability. The Venezuelan submarine is still underwater, still armed, still capable, but it is no longer free. The sea around it belongs to someone else. The crew now knows, not through alarms or explosions, but through intuition. Sonar returns feel different. Background noise seems shaped rather than natural. The captain orders reduced movement and deeper silence. Stress builds quickly in confined spaces. Every decision carries weight. Should they turn back, hold position, ascend slightly to gather more information? Each option risks further detection. Submarine warfare is psychological as much as technical. The crew understands that once a carrier strike group focuses on a contact, disengagement becomes difficult. Yet surfacing would mean political consequences. Staying submerged increases operational risk. The submarine has entered the most dangerous phase of the encounter, not because weapons are involved, but because uncertainty now cuts both ways. At this point, the submarine has only 3 realistic options. First, it can withdraw slowly, hoping distance will weaken tracking. Second, it can surface and identify itself, ending the encounter without incident but conceding the mission. Third, it can continue forward, forcing escalation. None are ideal. The U.S. Navy, meanwhile, remains composed. There is no rush to force an outcome. Time favors the side with superior endurance, logistics, and coordination. The carrier continues flight operations as if nothing unusual is happening. The longer the submarine remains, the more control shifts away from it. This is not a battle of firepower, it is a contest of patience. On the carrier's flight deck, jets launch and recover in steady rhythm. Sailors go about their duties unaware of the drama unfolding below the surface. For them, this is the ultimate proof of dominance, the ability to maintain normal operations while managing a potential threat unseen. The submarine is now a known factor, monitored but not engaged. Its presence no longer alters the strike group's behavior. Instead, it adapts around the submarine, confident in its ability to respond if needed. This asymmetry defines modern naval power. One side expends effort simply to remain undetected. The other continues its mission uninterrupted. Eventually, the encounter ends without a shot fired. The submarine withdraws or reveals itself. The carrier sails on. Officially, nothing happened. Unofficially, everything did. The lesson is clear. When a submarine enters carrier waters, the outcome is rarely dramatic, but it is rarely uncertain. Detection does not mean destruction. Control does not require confrontation. In the modern ocean, power belongs not to those who arrive unseen, but to those who decide how the encounter ends. And in carrier waters, that decision is almost never